see how much better the equipment works with the YouTube. So we're live.
It does. Yeah.
All right. So
great.
Oh yes. So I don't need more getting audio out there because I did turn everything on, so I don't have to look like a total goob.
Yes. Not a total goob.
Yes.
Partial goob.
Partial goob. Hopefully we just don't overburden, God's country's Wi-Fi or internet access out here. It might start melting. All right, Sunday Smoke. Mike House from House Family Fitness here in God's country, down here in Wayne's World's basement again. Yep.
Excellent.
Excellent.
Party time.
Rock on. Yep. You can reach me at Mike at housefamilyfitness.com, 205-542-1626. The gym is on Highway 52 West. It's 3154 Highway 52 West. I do one-on-one training. I do small group. I can do virtual. I can just do distance programming. Give me a call, send me a message. You can Facebook message, Instagram message, smoke signals. Find DC. He tells everybody it's like Telegram, tell DC. Both same thing. All right. No dirtbag today.
No dirtbag.
No dirtbag. And it's named from dirtbag. Because to be a true dirtbag, on to work. So whatever.
But Pennsylvania.
In Pennsylvania we live now. It's good. And he's the test dummy for all the equipment. I need somebody to give me some feedback on sound, video. I don't think we have anyone.
Looks like no one's watching.
Bueller. Yeah, Bueller. Yes.
We can say anything we want right now. No one's ever going to hear
it. Isn't this great? Like, this is not mirrored, but this.
Oh, you're right. Yeah.
That's going to be very confusing.
So this is what it's going to look like.
Mark needs to work on that.
He does.
Yes, I'm pulling for Elon. Elon's going to be the savior for the podcast. Because we'll get the Starlink satellites, and then we can go live, and I can upload, download. I don't have to go to town to find real internet access to get the podcast up.
Man,
I know.
That's
it's just first world problems.
First world problems. Slow internet.
Yes, yes. Well, my phone has faster internet than the house.
Yeah. Y'all got 5G out here?
No, not yet. We're in the little dark area, just like right over there. I think it's 5G. Like right over there is civilization, and like right over there is civilization. Like right here, we're still in the county. Man. We're in between everybody.
It's rough.
Nobody wants to come down a road, the infrastructure, or anything. But that's fine. All right, I'm glad you made it today. Yeah.
Me too.
Yeah, it's gonna be good.
Yeah. I think I might have the honor of being the least accomplished runner to ever be on this podcast.
Well, I was going to try to bring that up.
The bottom of the barrel.
We try to scraping the bottom of the barrel. We'll just say a new runner,
somewhat new runner,
something like somewhat a new runner.
Yeah, exactly.
Like give us just a little history. Like from Birmingham, you move here, just whatever you want.
So yes, I'm originally from Tuscaloosa. Roll Tide.
Bless you.
Yeah. Roll Tide.
All right. We're going to cut it off right there. We're done. No.
So I'm from Tuscaloosa. Lived in Tuscaloosa up until the time I was about 20 years old. At the age of 20, I moved to Bogota, Colombia, South America. Yep. Lived there for 10 years and actually moved back here in December 2013. So I've been back in the States for a little over 7 years, just a smidge over 7 years.
I'm going to stop you right there.
Yeah.
So you left the country, went to Bogota, and then you decided to come back to Alabama.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's kind of an interesting story. At the time I was in college in Alabama. I was a poor college student. Met a girl, a Colombian girlfriend. She convinced me to go to Bogota with her.
So you met at the university?
We met at the university. And then after a couple of months in Bogota, we broke up, but I decided to stay. Okay. So I got a job, had a, friend group down there. Then I met my wife, the person who's now my wife. Okay. So she might be watching this right now. Hey, baby, love you.
Yeah. Of course. Somebody. Look, we do have one continent. Yeah. It could be Bogota. Just right there.
No, yeah. So lived in Bogota for 10 years. My daughter was born there. And the story of how we came back is actually kind of funny. We we came to the States on vacation in summer 2013. Went to Disney World. Came up, stayed with my parents.
Okay. That's all right. All right.
I guess this is what happens.
This is great. So check your settings and try again. All right, we're still live there, but they don't know that.
So this is why the video freezes every time.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because of God's country.
Maybe I should. Have you tried doing it from the gym? Does the gym have Wi-Fi?
The gym borrows Wi-Fi from our neighbors because they love me. No, I never got anything. I have power at the gym. That's about it.
It's in a bucket.
Yes. This is going to be outstanding. I'm just wondering if I'm overloading.
Like maybe doing both at the same time is too much.
It could be. I want to go back. I think this is what makes our podcast really great. Is the ability of technological difficulties and what the hell. I could get the phone out too. Just go data if needed. We might do that. Since we don't have our studio audience to help. So we're going to go use camera. Okay, because you have to put a description in before it lets you continue because it's stupid. Now, we're going to try this again. There's 3, 2, 1 down here.
Okay.
And see what happens.
Then we got to wait till it says live up there.
Yeah, it says we'll get the eternal circle of death.
And there it says live, so we should be.
We should be back. Maybe.
Let's see.
I don't know. It's so delayed.
We'll see if the notification comes through.
I'm looking at getting the little mobile hotspot and just telling the AT&T to like.
Looks like we're good to go now. Just got a notification on my phone.
All right, we're back.
We're back.
I don't know what you heard, what you saw.
So I think I was talking about how I came from Bogota to back to Alabama.
Yes, and the reason you came
so
back.
we had a little, we kept thinking, and how nice would it be to go move to the States? I started looking for work, found a good job, applied, got the job, and we moved back.
Yeah, we are up there.
We are.
Maybe because it just Yeah, that'd be fine. If it craps out again, I can just use the phone.
That's okay.
Yeah,
we'll be okay. I think people who watch this live are used to this.
Yes, I think they are too. Yeah, they're used to.
Exactly.
And then,
right. So that's my story from Tuscaloosa in the Birmingham metro area for about the last 7 years.
Okay, so before we get into the whole fitness thing now, or the more recent fitness thing, so when you're in Bogota, you were there studying, working. What was the what?
So I actually I was working as an English teacher.
Okay.
So usually if you go to a country that does like a non-English speaking country, one of the easiest job opportunities for you is like to be an English teacher.
Okay.
And it was one of those things where I started because like that's what's available. I really didn't. It was fulfilling to help people learn a language, because most of the people who are learning English in other countries, it's because they need it because for their work, they need it because they want to study somewhere outside the country. They want it for that promotion. Well, the thing is, it's so inconsistent. English is very inconsistent. So I found that very fulfilling. Worked as an English teacher for a few years, then started training teachers on how to teach.
Oh, wow.
And then, getting into the more administrative side of things, supervising a team of trainers, designing curriculum, working with students, designing like study plans, doing all that sort of supervisional stuff, language program stuff like that. So that's what I did for 10 years while I was in Bogota.
Cool.
Yeah.
And then you came back here after vacation.
exactly.
Okay.
Yeah. So we took a vacation, and the thing is, Bogota's a big city. It's probably close to 10 million people right now.
Oh wow. Okay.
So it's typical big city. It's crowded. It's got a lot of pollution. It's traffic is very bad. It's like typical big city life. It's expensive to have a car. Unable to start live video.
Okay.
Man.
Well, we're gonna do. That's fine.
Yeah.
We're gonna close that. We're just gonna tell AT&T to get that. And we'll just do just the old school. Oops. I don't want to do that. Stop it. You have to put descriptions on everything now. We'll do this coolness right here.
Oh, there we go.
Yep. Hey, look, we're back. Living in God's country. We're going to clean the lens. Can't do too many things at one time. What does this look like?
There we go.
We're live now. We can see that.
I got to move over closer to you. I'll try to ignore the smell. So
yeah, look, I'm not too bad. I've showered since I'm over here, but I'm up there too. Look,
there we go.
Look, we can since we have this, we can give everybody the new setup. So we got this. Yeah, you can see the new microphone here. New microphone here. Look, unable to start live video, and look, that's us.
Yep.
So I hope the YouTube seems to work better, especially with all of our equipment. But we can figure this stuff out and see us. I need somebody to respond. We're getting crickets today.
Let's see. I'm gonna turn the volume down here.
Mm-hmm. It's way delayed.
Yeah, there we go. Yeah, there is a big delay.
So that's why people are wondering about comments. There is a delay. And first of all, I have to pay attention to the comments. Yeah. That doesn't happen now. I got too much shit going on anyway.
Yes, you do. Yeah. So anyway, so where I was with the story is, we're living in Bogota. It's a nice big city. It's got lots of stuff to do, but when we were on vacation, being able to just not be around so many people, it's a less polluted place. Drive a car around, it's a lot nicer, a lot more comfortable. We kind of got used to it during that vacation time, and we were like, it would be nice to live here. So we started, making that plan, and within 6 months, basically, I was back here with a new job.
Yeah.
So that was.
You want to share that new job or what your job is?
Yeah. So I actually started working at BBVA. So that kind of worked out really well for me.
Oh, I know somebody that works at BBVA.
Really?
He was supposed to come.
Really?
Yes. Yeah. He's
hey,
executive kind of guy.
Oh, really? What's his name?
We call him Work Ethic. Is his nickname at the gym.
Okay.
Yeah. We'll just call him Mr. Rogers.
Okay.
That is Mr. Rogers.
Yeah.
And hopefully he's watching this because he'll get a kick out of that. Yes. He was supposed to come and be studio audience, but he's a slacker sometimes.
Yeah, too bad. Anyway, so so it's one of those things that worked out pretty well because I had the training experience living in a Spanish-speaking country.
Okay.
And BBVA is a Spanish bank.
Yes.
So one of the
now.
job requirements, exactly.
Yeah.
For now,
Yeah.
BBVA's U.S. operations were recently sold to PNC.
Yep.
But back then, that was one of those things where they were looking for somebody who spoke Spanish, who had experience in the training world, experience with training platforms, designing courses. And as I was reading the job description, it was like the job description is describing me. So it was a perfect fit. I applied for the job, did a few interviews, got the job, came here, started working. That's basically what happened 7 years ago. So I've been back for 7 years.
How we got back to the great state of Alabama.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. And then we'll fast forward a little bit, or we'll back up a little bit.
Yeah.
Right. So you're a runner now.
Right.
We've done some ultras.
Mm-hmm.
Let's go back. Well, one ultra. Semantics.
Right.
English teacher.
Yeah.
Let's go back in high school.
Mm-hmm.
Running, no running. athletics? No.
Yeah, so I went to a small private school in Tuscaloosa that didn't exactly have a very big athletic program. It had obviously like the big three, football, basketball, baseball,
Okay.
in terms of like boys sports, and that was pretty much it. So there was no track team, there was no cross country, anything of that. And I never really was an athletic kid. I like to, like most kids, I like to be active, run around, ride my bike, but, I was never really good at organized sports. I think I was a late bloomer in terms of athleticism. I did play football for 2 years, my junior and senior year, mostly just
because that's what you're supposed to do.
Yeah, no, I mean, it was so I was never a starter. I was never a really good player.
Okay.
Never really did anything, but it was fun for the camaraderie of practice. Like I said, it was a small school, so we all knew each other.
Yeah.
It was just fun to be on the team and do stuff like that. So I played football, and that involved, running, some athleticism, although running as punishment, basically,
or conditioning.
Conditioning, yeah, exactly. So that was my experience with running as a high schooler, basically, and then. After that in college, I was working full time to put myself through school, so I just didn't have time for sports or anything. So all that kind of fell by the wayside.
Yeah. So in Bogota,
Mm-hmm.
did you take advantage of scenery, being able to run, or was that just a different time of your life?
So I wasn't really interested in running or any other athletics type stuff for a long time while I was there, and it was probably around 2012 that I got into running. And I think this is around the time that Born to Run came out.
Okay.
So I know a few people have mentioned Born to Run on the show before.
Yes.
I never read Born to Run, but I think Born to Run sparked this sort of running renaissance with a lot of people.
Mm-hmm.
And it sort of became like the cool thing to do, to become a runner. And, we're meant as a species to run. So around the middle of 2012, got into running. I was like, let's see what this is all about. I remember the whole minimalist footwear thing being big at that time. So I got like a pair of, the little finger.
Merrell, or not Merrell.
It wasn't the Vibram 5 fingers. It was actually, picked up a pair of, Adidas actually had a pair of like toe shoes at the time. So I picked up a pair of those. Even did some like actual barefoot running, like at the park,
like really barefoot,
actually barefoot, running around barefoot in the park. And that's kind of when I started running. That was my first foray, let's say, into actually running.
Okay.
And at the time, I didn't really know what I was doing. My plan for a long time, probably a year, that I was running somewhat consistently was just go out and run as hard as I could.
Okay.
Which, like in hindsight, that's not an optimal training strategy.
Correct.
to run every run as hard as you can. Basically what I did for a while was I would just run 5K. So, a little over 3 miles every day. And my whole plan was just run those 3 miles as hard as I could, which is probably why I never progressed past 3 miles.
Yes.
Yeah. Because, at the end of 3 miles running as hard as you can, you're just out of juice. Exactly.
Yes.
So I spent probably a year running, most days about 3 miles, running them, like I said, really hard, getting my legs trashed. But that was good enough for me, because I was trying to stay active. It was a nice way to, like burn, half an hour, a little under half an hour of energy, get my workout in for the day. And then, I probably had like a year of running somewhat consistently in Bogota. And then the second half of 2013, with that vacation that I took in the middle of 2013, like I said, we came here to the States. I had some health issues the second half of that year as well. Had some weird stomach issues that I just couldn't get over, and it really messed me up for a few months. So I kind of fell out of running then. And then when I moved here to the States, tried to pick it back up, still not really with a clear idea of what I was doing. You know, my whole idea was just go out and run hard every single time. And, you know, with new job, with all the changes, like I was not very consistent for the first few months of 2014. That's where we are. Yeah. 2014.
Yeah.
The first few months I was going out and trying to run every once in a while, not really making it very consistent. And I think what probably was the nail in the coffin for running at that time for me was there was this, I don't know if they still do them, Tour de Brewers.
Yes, Tour de Brewers.
So they would start it.
We did an unofficial one for my birthday. Yes,
I know.
It still happens, and we'll expand on that after the show or next week or whenever, because it's going to happen again. Yes.
Good.
But Tour de Brewers,
so there was the official Tour de Brewers, and you know, in my mind, I had not been very consistent. Probably had not run more than 2 or 3 miles for you know, really in ever in my life. And this was a 10K where you start like 10 roof, run to Good People, then from Good People to
back then it had been Cahaba, probably.
It was Cahaba, yeah.
That's where
then Avondale, and then Avondale back to 10 roof. So it's basically it's basically a 10K
with stops and beer in between.
And in my mind, I thought, you know, it's just, you know, 6 miles. And again, typical fashion, the starting gun goes off and I run as hard as I can, run to Good People, drink a beer, then run as hard as I can to Cahaba, run as hard as I can to Avondale. And it was probably by the time I got to Avondale, the wheels fell off, because obviously I was running this as hard as I could, like basically 5K pace. And somehow I managed to make it back from Avondale to Tin Roof, and my legs were trashed. I remember got in my car, drove to Milo's to get some good post run food. And during the drive, you know, sitting still in the car after having run a 10K at 5K pace, you know, everything seized up and I almost had to crawl from my car to the restaurant. So it was not a good experience. And I was sore for probably a week after that. And after that, you know, I was like, you know, this whole running thing, maybe it's not for me.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So, yeah. And, you know, and again, like I say, at the time, I didn't really know anything about training. Yeah. I didn't know of the whole like 80-20 easy hard. You know, you want to go out and get easy miles in. Didn't know anything about tolerance. That stuff.
You just want, you can't just get after it all day. You can't be a rock star every day.
Exactly. And that's what I was trying to do. So after that, you know, I probably ran off and on for the few years after that, not too much. And then where I started getting back into like fitness type stuff during that time, obviously I wasn't really doing a lot of athletic stuff. My weight started going up. I'm a pretty thin guy, like by nature. So my weight right now is about 155, and I ended up getting close to like 175, 180 almost. Not very healthy, starting to get a little bit chubby everywhere. And, you know, I decided something had to change. And around that time, you know, my daughter was getting into swimming. She was doing swim team. Okay. So she was going to be at the rec center. She started out at the Hoover Rec Center. Then they moved to the Y. And this was probably late 2015. You know, I took advantage of the fact that she was I was going to be there at the rec center or at the YMCA to, you know, get a few runs in every once in a while, maybe do a little weightlifting, weight training, that kind of stuff. But again, you know, it was one of those things where I just never really had any clear goal. And probably for, you know, 3 years, I was just kind of like every once in a while, maybe go in, run a couple of miles, you know, dick around on the weight machines a little bit without much of a clear plan. So
going through motions, kind of.
Exactly. It's feeling like I was doing something. And then where I really decided to get back into things was, you know, my daughter, like I said, she did swim team for a long time. And she had built up that aerobic capacity. And at school, the coaches would see her like in PE with running challenges and stuff like that, saying that she was doing good. And they told her, why don't you come out for cross country? And she decided that she wanted to switch in, this must have been 2019. So in 2019, she decided she wanted to quit swimming and then do like cross country at school. Okay. And when she made that decision, this was over the summer, cross country's in the fall. So we were like, okay, we got to go get you some running shoes. We go to Track Shack, and I'm like, you know what? Maybe it's time for me to get back into running as well. So I picked up a pair of running shoes, and our plan was, for me to go out and run with my daughter during the summer to kind of get a little bit more conditioning. So when she starts cross country, she's a little bit better off. So that's where the running really came back. It was probably the summer of 2019.
Pre-COVID.
Absolutely. Yes. Yeah. So summer of 2019 is where I would say like the running journey that I'm on right now officially started. And that was where it became consistent. And it was just like putting in consistent miles. And then by that time, I had actually learned a little bit more about, how to train for running, make them easy miles, take your time, progression. Whole thing about adding on, maybe 10%, increasing by 10% your weekly mileage every week. And during that summer, basically that's what we did. We were kind of running together, me and my daughter. We'd go out and run maybe 3 or 4 times a week, 2 or 3 miles every time, taking it easy. And that's where I realized, I don't
have to race everything.
Exactly. Yeah. It doesn't have to be a race.
It comes with age too.
Yeah,
the wisdom starts coming in. You
exactly.
go, hey, look,
yeah. And then, so I think where I'm at now has kind of been like this process of just kind of like stumbling into things. So
what a great stumble though. You get to run with your daughter.
Exactly.
I mean, that gets you back in.
Yeah.
Yes. I mean,
and then, my plan at the time was pretty much just, let's just keep doing this thing where we run, 2 or 3 miles, 3 or 4 days a week, just for general fitness type stuff. And where that kind of changed was my daughter runs at Pelham Park Middle School. Okay. And one of the girls on her cross country and track team is actually the daughter of Suman Silwal. So Suman.
Yes, we all know Suman.
Everybody knows Suman. And then so as I got to meet Suman and learn like he's a runner as well. It was this weird kind of process of like, getting to know Suman, realizing Suman runs like marathons and ultra marathons. And something kind of changed in my mind. And I was like, at the time, like I was familiar with the concept of marathons, right? Mm-hmm. As a very like basic runner, I never even thought about, never thought a marathon was really something I would be able to do, much less an ultra marathon. In my mind, I was vaguely familiar with the idea of ultra marathons. But if you asked me at that time to imagine what's the kind of person that runs an ultra marathon, my idea would have been it's like the elite of the elite.
Oh, you're going, it's not this guy.
Exactly. Yeah. So that was
there. Yeah, I understand. 100%. Yeah. Yes.
So that was something that never even crossed my mind. But then, meet Suman, and everyone who knows Suman knows he's a normal guy, right? If you look at his running history, he's very accomplished. Like he's run I don't know how many marathons, like triple digit marathons maybe at this point. He's
probably getting close to over 100 marathons.
He's run lots of ultras. He's run many hundreds. And then at the time I was trying to square like that idea that I had in my head of the kind of person that you had to be to run like marathons and ultra marathons versus here's this guy who looks, normal. He looks kind of like me, and he's running.
He's probably a little short.
He looks slightly different, but he's like, he's, and then I started thinking, well, he can do it, maybe I could do it. Right. So, just learning about the stuff that he had done kind of inspired me to think like, well, maybe I can actually push a little harder. So what I decided was probably like in the fall of 2019, I was like, let's run a half marathon. Because in my mind, I was like, half marathon, good goal to build forward to. And at that point, my only race ever had still been that. It was that 10K, where
10K Tour de Bruges was the first
2014
organized official race.
Yes,
we're jumping into 2019,
right?
And we're going to do a half marathon,
right? So
which half marathon did we decide?
So I signed up for the Mercedes in February 2020, right? So I signed up for that. And as
COVID.
It happened. Yeah.
Did it?
Yeah.
It was pre-COVID this year. Yes.
So what I did, started a training plan, and then by about October, I realized, this race is in February, and we're here like 3 months out, and I'm pretty much at the mileage I need to do a half marathon. So I thought, well, why not go for the marathon?
Sounds logical.
It sounds very logical. So my whole thing was, the moment I get to where my longest long run is like half marathon distance, then I'm gonna send an email to the Mercedes folks and switch to the marathon, right? And by then, I had run the Vulcan 10K 2019, so I ran that in 2019.
Good run.
That was
my favorite road runs.
Yeah, it was a totally different experience compared to that 10K, the Tour de Bruges in 2014, because by then I had been training consistently. I had done long runs past the 6 miles that you run on that day. And I remember I showed up to that race kind of thinking, my goal was, I want to be a top 200 finisher, because they give special t-shirts for top 200 finishers. Yeah. And I was finisher number 200 on that day.
I think we talked about that one day. Yes. Yeah.
I was number 200. So
I think the story goes, I think he tripped a guy, elbowed one, stood on a guy, and then
don't believe any of this guy.
Yes.
Yeah. So that was like my first experience where, after running easy miles, my easy pace was probably around then like 9:15 per mile. That was what I was doing my easy runs at. And I remember I was familiar with the concept at that time where, if you do a lot of easy training runs at that pace, you can run, your race pace is going to be a lot faster. Correct. And so I went out thinking, if I can just run flat 8-minute miles, that will probably put me in the top 200. And that's basically what I did. And at the end of that, I ran that one in like 50 minutes. So that was like my first real 10K time. Got that top 200 finisher. That really motivated me at that time to think, I can really push myself if I have to. So then I just kept training throughout the rest of that year, building up to the Mercedes Marathon in February of last year. So I ran the Mercedes Marathon, did that in 3:46, which was, I was shooting for 3:45. And I think the story of my running career is always, I'm always just shooting for a little bit beyond what I can do. So
that's actually an outstanding time for a first marathon, because I tell people a lot of times your first marathon is a learning experience period. Right. Set your goal, have a B goal. Yeah. Because you've never been that far before, right? Have you ever been 26 miles?
Yeah. So my longest long run before then was 20 miles.
20, and I'd done standard plan. Yeah.
Yeah. I'd done 3 20-milers before tapering for that marathon. So, I went out and I had a pace, and started out with the 3:45 pacers at the marathon, because that was my goal. And then what I found was they started out way faster than the 3:45 pace. So for some reason,
they were building in some time.
I don't know. I don't know if maybe because, at the beginning of a marathon like that, everyone takes off too fast usually.
Correct.
So they got a little bit ahead of me, but I knew the pace I needed to keep. So I was trying to stick to that pace as close as I could. And, ran that race, felt great with my time, 3:46. My A goal was like 3:45. My B goal was like sub 4.
Yeah.
And my C goal was like just finish.
Yeah.
First marathon. So
that might be a goal, like finish, and then we'll hit times. Yeah.
Yeah. So I ran that, and during that whole training period of building up to a marathon, obviously I was still in that kind of phase of learning what I'm capable of. I'm putting in like 50-mile weeks, and I'm realizing like I can go farther than I ever thought possible. Mm-hmm. Right. So during that time, getting thrown into the running communities, learning about different races that take place around here. Saw the Southeastern Trail Series, and I thought
the best series on the planet.
Not possibly. It is definitely the best series on the planet. Yeah. So my goal was, after Mercedes, the next thing I wanted to do was 50K. So the Run for Kids 50K, which was scheduled for May 2020. Mm-hmm. And I remember what I told myself is, if I finish Mercedes, my gift to myself is going to be a good running vest so I can get out and hit the trails. Right. So at this time, basically all of my running had been on road so far. And to kind of take a step back, so we're talking about my first marathon is February 2020. Mm-hmm. Going back a little bit, around November.
So we're less than a
2019
year back. Yes.
Yeah. So around November 2019. So during my training for Mercedes, I walked into REI one day and saw some trail shoes 50% off. And I thought, you know what? This is kind of before the whole idea of getting on trails had occurred to me. I saw this and I was like, I know about trails. They're 50% off. Like, maybe I should pick up some trail shoes and go see what it's all about. So as part of my training for Mercedes, I went out and did probably a couple of long runs at Oak Mountain. That was my first foray into trail running.
Outstanding.
Had no idea what I was doing. I remember the first trail run, I needed to get a 10-mile long run in. And that was my very first trail run ever at Oak Mountain. And, I was planning things out, and I thought, okay, let's go to the North Trailhead and let's take Blue. And that should be a pretty easy, go out 5 miles, turn around and come back. And as I start going up Blue, everyone who knows Oak Mountain, that first bit of going up Blue, you've got
North Trailhead.
You've got some climbs.
Yeah.
So I start out,
it's a good warm up. Yeah.
I start out as a road runner who is used to running. It's in the name, running.
Yes.
So I try to run up this hill, and I very quickly realize, like, this is not going well. So I'm trying to run up Blue, basically, trying to hold a normal pace, and it's not working. After about a quarter of a mile, I'm like, why do people do this? This is stupid. How do people do this? And then, of course, later on, I realized, you're not really supposed to run a lot of these hills. You're supposed to power hike them. So that was a learning experience.
That was a learning experience. Yeah. A lot of guys coming from the roads, it's very shocking to come out, because you're not going to have equal splits per mile.
Oh, no, definitely. Yes. Yeah.
And your mile splits are going to be a little bit slower because your cadence is different. You got to climb, downhill. Yes.
Yeah, but even then, I liked getting out there. I've always liked going hiking and being in the outdoors. So just the surroundings and being on the trail was really nice. So that first trail run was really what kind of dragged me in. It was just a great experience. Instead of being out there pounding pavement, dodging cars, it was just
going kind of brain dead, just like that.
Yeah, exactly.
This.
Plus, out on the road, I was used to listening, like, putting on some music, listening to some podcasts or something, and just kind of zoning out, because you can zone out when you're on the road. Yep. But on the trail, it was like just soaking in the sounds, the sights, being constantly focused on the trail so you don't trip and fall. It was a different experience, and I really liked it. So I managed to get out. I still focused on the roads for that whole training process for Mercedes. But then what I did is I told myself, after Mercedes, since my next goal is this trail run for kids, the 50K, now what I want to do is really get out and hit the trails. So it's probably after Mercedes that I really got into running trails. So this would have been March of last year. And that's when I started going out every
March
weekend.
of 20. Yep.
Yeah, March of 20.
That's the beginning of the COVID summer.
Exactly.
Just, anybody wants to mark their calendar for that.
Yeah. So I remember probably my first long run that I did on trails after Mercedes was right after the whole COVID thing. So I started going out, doing trail runs, really getting into that, and then setting my sights on the Run for Kids 50K.
And that was held at Shoal Creek this year,
yeah,
right? Yes.
It was
first time.
Yeah, it was supposed to be at Oak Mountain, but then they switched it up.
Yeah, they had to change the dates. They had to change the dates.
But then, I was doing pretty good, just kind of trucking along. And then what kind of threw a wrench into everything was on Memorial Day. Yeah, Memorial Day weekend in May, I was out running on yellow and I rolled my ankle.
Okay.
And it was very bad roll.
Very bad. Very bad.
Yeah. So I rolled my ankle. And it was at that point where, after a marathon, you kind of take it easy for a while, then you start ramping back up. And I was just at that point where I was getting back into the swing of things, getting like 45, 50-mile weeks, really putting in the miles, and then bam, this injury comes along and screws everything up. So I rolled my ankle, sprained it, tore 2 ligaments, total rupture. And I remember thinking, like, as I came down, I heard the snap and I was falling, and my first thought was, Run for Kids. Yeah. Because I was like, we were like 3 weeks away from Run for Kids, and I was excited about going out and, doing the first like big trail race, first ultra, and then like everything just like kind of with that injury. So
big explosion.
Yeah. And then I basically had to kind of start back from scratch after that. So
you took off to rehab or let the injury heal.
Yeah. So
so March 2020. So we're in January 21. Okay, we're going back up.
No, this is in May.
May.
I sprained my ankle.
May.
Yeah.
May of 2020.
Right.
COVID summer, May.
Mm-hmm.
And then we go and we run some of David's other races, though, right?
Yeah, I did.
Because there's so much history on this guy on Ultra Sign Up. If anybody wants to look, like Robbie. Because there's like
3 races.
Three
3 races.
3.
Yeah. So I'd actually signed up for. I'd signed up for David's Run for Kids. And this is one of those things that I've decided is probably not a good idea. Like after Mercedes, I'm like, let's go ahead and sign up. Let's sign up for Run for Kids. Let's sign up for Tranquility Trail Race.
I'm thinking it's a great idea.
Let's sign up for Hotter and Hill. Let's sign up for Ridge. Let's go ahead and sign up for all these races. And what happened is when I sprained my ankle, Run for Kids, I couldn't run. It was just, it was in June.
I can't talk to you right now, Owen.
Yeah. So basically what happened is after that injury, I had to kind of rehab it. Luckily, I got a PT who is also a runner, Kerry Morgan. Those of y'all that know are familiar with Kerry. He runs Cadence Coaching. And he,
Kerry and Micah.
Yeah, I think, exactly. He's Micah's husband.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it was probably the best possible PT I could have gotten with because he's a runner and he got me running very fast.
Mm-hmm.
He even told me like a lot of the doctors would probably be more conservative, but we can get you out there running. So I basically started from scratch in the middle of June. Then, just running like a couple of miles, started out with like a mile, then 2 miles, then kind of slowly adding the miles back on. Good thing is, I'd been training consistently. So it was pretty easy to kind of ramp back up.
You had a base to begin with.
Exactly. Yeah. And then after that, I was wearing this big clunky ankle brace, got out and ran the Peavine Falls run, which is one of the BTC runs.
Yes,
you start at the South Trailhead, run up to Peavine, turn around, run back down, and then you do like a mile of trail. And I was really nervous about that mile of trail because that was the first time I would be running back on trail after my ankle sprain.
Okay.
But as soon as I hit the trail, it was like, everything snapped back into place. I had the brace on, so that kept me confident enough. And then I was running with a whole bunch of roadies because that race attracts a bunch of roadies.
It does.
And, you know, I was kind of slow. I was getting passed by all the roadies on the road section. But then as soon as we hit the trail, you know, I start passing people. Boom, boom, boom. Start passing everybody. And that really gave me a lot of my confidence back. Then I ran Hotter in Hell at the end of July. Felt really good with that. You know, every step was, you know, just building this confidence back. And then probably right after Hotter in Hell was when I was like, okay, I can do this again. You know, I'm back. You know, my ankle is not going to hold me back. Then I ran Ridge to Blazing Ridge. And then basically since then, that's when I kind of got thrown into the whole Paloma Blanca world. After Ridge. Yeah. Because running had always been more of a solitary thing for me. You know, I would always go out and run just by myself. But then after, you know, Hotter in Hell and Ridge, after several, you know, sections of both of those races, you know, running with other people, you know, chatting as you go by, just the whole social aspect of things, you know, started to get interested in that. And I remember the week after Ridge, someone actually asked about like group runs. So it was on the Facebook page. Someone asked, you know, what group runs are there on Saturdays? And Don Leopard actually responded. He said, there's a group of people, you know, a lot of people meet at BMX Saturday morning at 6:30. So that's where I was like, you know, let's go out on Saturday. So the Saturday after Ridge showed up, you know, started meeting all the Paloma folks, just got caught up in that crazy world.
Caught up in the cult.
Caught up in the cult of running with them. And that's basically what I've been doing since then. And it was probably somewhere around September that, you know, I realized, you know, I could probably shoot for like a 50 miler at the end of the year.
Because you had great influencers in your life at that point. That's what it is.
At that point, well, no, to be honest, at that point, that was all me.
Okay.
So I'd set my sights on Blood Rock 50 well before any of the Paloma folks were trying to talk me into things. Okay. In fact, what they were trying to talk me into was switching to the 100.
Oh, yeah. That makes a lot of sense. Yeah.
Exactly.
Just go ahead. Just get the 100.
Yeah. So, you know, I trained really well. I got in a lot of really good training through like the rest of August, September, October. Those were like my peak months, probably at my best. Had a bit of a calf strain because I decided to run the Vulcan 10K last year.
At Railroad Park,
no, that was at...
no, Vulcan this year was at...
in
Greenway in Oxmoor, whatever it's
Lakeshore.
called.
Lakeshore, yeah. So
I was there.
Yeah, you were there.
Yeah.
And I had kind of stupidly decided that after spending months of putting on lots of easy miles as training for Blood Rock, that I want to go out and run. You know, the year before I had run the Vulcan 10K in 50 minutes. And my plan was, let's go out and run this thing in 45. And I knew I could do it because I'd been doing like, you know, some tempo runs and everything, but to be honest, I had not put in the speed work that I should have.
Yeah.
So I go out and run, you know, Vulcan 10K.
The out and back course that was,
Yeah. And I probably ran it a little too hard, strained my calf, and then took like a month off. Basically the month between Vulcan 10K and Blood Rock, I almost didn't run at all. So almost no running, but just to give my calf time to heal. And then ran Blood Rock 50. Did way better than I thought I
came in with fourth, fifth, third,
fifth overall.
Fifth overall.
It's
terrible.
Yeah. So
it's horrible. You know, that's such an easy course.
It's
Blood Rock
nice,
course,
flat, fast course.
Fast course.
Yeah. So
for some, it's a fast course. We talked about him earlier.
Exactly. Yeah.
He'll be on later this month.
Yeah. So I ran Blood Rock, and then basically kind of after that, kind of got back into training for Lake Martin 100 coming up in March.
So. 100 coming up in March.
Yeah.
That's right.
So I think, you know, I kind of, you know, I know a lot of the progression for a lot of people is like, you know, 50K, then a 50 miler, and then maybe a 100 miler, and then maybe stay there for a long time and then build up to 100. But for some reason, all the Paloma folks have convinced me, just jump right into the 100.
Well, most people don't start like for real start and get their first 100 in a year.
Right.
Yeah. That's not the norm.
I'm basically going from first marathon to first 100 in a year.
In a year.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. First marathon to first in a year.
Yeah, but that's one of those things where I think I'm not very fast. I definitely have a hard time keeping up with some of the faster people in the group. Like recent guest Alan Fuller.
But we all can't
Cheeky.
be the fast kids.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah.
They're super fast. I have a hard time keeping up with them. But where I think I do a decently good job is just distance.
Let's go for it. Yeah.
Yeah. So, I don't know if that has to do with muscle type, slow twitch versus fast twitch, aerobic system, training,
it's
whatever.
The 6 inches between the ears.
Yeah.
That's the biggest thing.
Yeah. So I think I'm good at just zoning out and just get the job done no matter what. I don't have a whole lot of experience running super long distances, but what I have run so far and training runs as well, just, I feel good with distance. And it's one of those things where, the first few miles are always the toughest, but once I settle into a rhythm, I just feel like I could just keep going. And I usually finish 20-mile runs feeling pretty good, feeling like I could keep going if I wanted to. So I don't know, maybe my body's just sort of built for distance.
It is. Well, and seriously, it is. It boils down to the mindset.
Right.
I mean, you can do it. Most people will quit way before their body will.
Right.
Because of their head. Yes.
Yeah. And that's
so if you got this up here, you can do it.
Yeah. And that's there's a similar, I guess, one example of that is at Blood Rock. So I'd had that calf strain that I was dealing with. And, I thought at the month between Vulcan and Blood Rock, I thought, just let this thing heal and then just show up at Blood Rock and try my best.
Yeah.
And probably around mile 40, my calf started hurting again. So it wasn't completely healed. And in fact, today it's still kind of touch and go. I start to get these little twinges of pain. So it's not 100% healed, but it's getting there. Every week it just gets a little bit better. So my calf blew up at about mile 40 and I had to alter my gait, which was weird. And because I altered my gait, my hip flexor gave out. So for the last basically 10 miles of Blood Rock, my calf was hurting and I could not move my left leg forward.
So you had a cool strut coming in, right?
So yeah, my gait, and this is going up hills is where your hip flexor really comes in. So every uphill was basically step up with my right foot, drag my left foot up, step up with my right foot, drag my left foot up. And on the flats, just kind of shuffle as best I could. But at that point, I was like, the mental aspect, like you said, is very important.
Yes, very important.
I was not going to let anything stop me. If I had to crawl across that finish line, I was going to crawl across the finish line. So I told myself, just keep moving. And eventually, I don't know if it stopped hurting. My mind just blocked out the pain. That was my goal. Just keep moving. Every uphill was just this struggle of trying to pull myself up with my right leg, dragging my left leg behind me, and then shuffle as best I could, throwing my left leg in front of me without the use of my hip flexor. And it was rough, but
well, I mean,
got the job
obviously
done.
You made it because you're not living out there. Because if you
Yeah.
quit right there, you'd be living on the trail.
Yeah, I'm
not
sure
an
somebody
option.
would have found me. But
Yes.
yeah.
Oh, maybe.
Yeah.
I know.
Yeah.
That's what happens.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, that's an outstanding story. I mean, first marathon to 100, and is it going to be right at a year?
A little bit over a year, like 13 months.
13 months.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's quite unbelievable, actually. Yeah.
Well, we'll see. Check back with me and at the end of March.
There's no doubt I'll be down there.
Yeah.
I'm getting back into the ultra game. I'm doing the 50.
Nice.
Yes. Well, I mean, I did the COVID 50K
Mm-hmm.
this year. That's the only ultra I had this year.
Cool.
I have to show you the medal.
Yeah.
Yes. We did make medals.
Nice.
So this is everybody's favorite part of the show.
Mm-hmm.
Coming up, we have to have just the tip.
Just the tip.
Yes. It could be about anything. It could be something in Bogota. It could be something to stay away from Tuscaloosa and the University of Alabama. Or it could be about running.
Yeah, so I actually thought about this.
Oh, okay.
My
the
tip part would be, we were talking earlier before you started recording about bike, like cross training, and before my ankle injury, I never did any cross training, right? So I was just all about running. Let's just go out and run. You want to be a better runner, the way to do that is run, right? And I'd always had these issues where once I started hitting higher mileage, having little aches and pains, like IT band problems, maybe issues in my foot, like feeling a little bit of imbalance. Like the knee problem was really what bothered me a lot. Muscle fatigue, and the ankle sprain that I had, in order to keep my fitness up, because I couldn't run as much, what I did is I went out and bought a bike to do cross training, because I could ride my bike without having the impact on my ankle.
Correct.
So that was the first time that I actually, went out and tried to do cross training. And what I realized is, as I started riding the bike, first of all, the muscle gains in my legs and hips, like quads, hips, and glutes. Because I would go out and ride hard as well. I really tried to focus on doing like a lot of uphills, putting in lots of interval work, stuff like that, really riding hard on the bike. I realized that was really helping me gain a lot of muscles in my legs, hips, and glutes. And then what I realized is, as that happened, all those other little aches and pains, like the knee pain,
kind of go away.
They just go away.
Because you were your best brace.
Exactly.
Yes.
Yeah. So just building up those muscles, cross training. I know a lot of people don't want to find the time to do cross training, because, if you're a runner, what you want to do is spend all your time running. But I've stuck with the bike even after getting back into running, where I don't really need to replace my running with the bike. I still do, just because that cross training has been so good. And I think that even with Blood Rock, like I said, with that calf strain, I still had to take like a month off. So what I did is I just hit the bike really, really hard. And I was putting in lots of miles on the bike. And then what I realized is, when I got to Blood Rock, all that work I had done, the downhills that usually kill your quads felt great. Like I had no problems with my quads on the downhills. All the climbing, which gets your glutes and hips into it, other than that whole issue where the calf strain came back and my hip flexor kind of went out. Up until that point, I was feeling really good. So my tip for everybody would be, don't ignore the benefits of cross training. And that's kind of, where like you've been talking about recently with Trey last week, I think, about like the benefits of lifting.
Yes.
Where, a lot of people, they think, and I'm kind of one of those people, I don't want to necessarily get into the weight room. I'm not a weight room kind of guy.
Yep.
And I've tried in the past, but I've never really been able to put on muscle through weightlifting. And I also kind of wanted to ask you, this is what I was mentioning earlier. I wanted to kind of pick your brain.
Yep.
This is one of those things where I had tried with weightlifting before, doing squats, the typical recommendations of like lift heavy, heavy weight, maybe like 5 sets of 5 reps, stuff like that for hypertrophy. And I never really had good results.
Okay.
So I was never able to get the sort of muscle gains that I wanted. But then when I switched to the bike, which is nowhere near that whole idea of lifting heavy, for some reason, that's where all the muscle growth comes in. So is that just like the different types of muscle that you have?
Well, it boils down to body chemistry.
Mm-hmm.
And then you were putting that, what you have to do is you're trying to put everything under a strain
Mm-hmm.
through the energy pathway so it will rebuild.
Right.
Okay. So I don't know what you were doing with the like 5x5. You can't do that all the time because anybody that comes to the gym understands that, I attack you in several different ways all the time.
Right.
Like last week, we were doing 5 sets of 10 on everything.
Mm-hmm.
So we worked on back squats, front squats, and I think actually bench press, which people are shocked. I don't need to bench press when I run.
Yeah.
Well, actually, this is the press shape, right?
Right.
When you run, hey, guess what shape I'm in?
Right.
So now I'm building tolerance in that shape. Yes.
Right.
So it all makes the machine more efficient.
Mm-hmm.
So if the machine's more efficient, then you can enjoy your run for longer. And a great side benefit, sometimes you gain speed.
Right.
Not looking for speed.
Yeah.
Just trying to make the machine efficient so you can go longer.
Right. Yeah. So that was kind of my curiosity about how, I've not really responded very well to a lot of weight type stuff. But then once I hit the bike, and it's, I guess, if you think about the bike, it's basically like low weight, extremely high rep, because every time you pedal, it's sort of like a rep.
Yep.
And that's where my wife has even told me it's crazy how much your
like
quads have grown.
Yeah, Quadzilla.
Exactly. Yeah. So like my quads have grown, and all of that stuff. And if you can, I think, getting back to the idea of, the tip for cross training, like if your body responds to weightlifting, use that. If your body responds to biking, use that. But, you definitely, you definitely want to build up your muscles. And I think that's probably what helped me do as well as I was able to do at Blood Rock, just constantly attacking the bike, building those muscles up, and then making it so that the weak point during running is not going to be like the muscle fatigue. The weak point is going to be like maybe aerobic, maybe nutrition, maybe just overall general body fatigue, but it's not going to be that my muscles just can't take it anymore. So that's kind of my plan for the rest of this training cycle for Lake Martin. Just getting lots of good quality runs, keep hitting it on the bike, keep those muscles nice and strong, and then try to find a way to make it to Lake Martin with a good training load uninjured.
Yes, that'll be easy. You just got to show up. And when David shoots the little gun, and then when you're done, you're finished, and then we'll be at the camper.
All you got to do is run a marathon, then run another one, then run another one, then run another one.
You'll be fine.
Can't be too hard, right?
Can't be too hard. Yeah. I mean, it sounds like a great weekend to me. Yeah.
It's just 100 miles.
Just 100 miles.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
It was great having you, Andrew.
Hey, yeah.
Yeah.
Thanks for having me.
Yes. And we're going to say finish on this one.
Great.
And then peace out next week.
Bye, everybody.